Hello, hello, hello. It is 8 o'clock. Wednesday. Don't even know what day of the week it is. It's been a wild couple weeks. We've been going crazy. Let me know in the chat if you all can hear me. Looks like you all can hear me. We've already got one person in the chat. Good evening, Jeff. Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't forget, if this is your first time, my name is John McLauchlan. This is JA Memories. Tech Talk Wednesday is March 5th, I believe. Isn't it 5th? Like I said, no, yeah. March 6th. It's already March 6th. Can you believe that? Wow, wow, wow. What a day. What a day. Hopefully everybody's having a great week. Of course we can hear you. Well, if you knew what was going on around here, you would not be so optimistic about hearing me, because it's been one of those days, one of those weeks where you think everything is on, and hopefully everybody's having a great... Yep, just checking that. That is live. We've been, I was actually, the last 2 weeks, I've been installing one of the Bot cameras, which we will talk about in just a minute. We've got a lot going on at the office. So, life happens. And of course, we've got family, we've got tons of stuff going on. So, let's see if I can find where my video is on YouTube to check and see that. No, it's the 6th. I said it was the 6th. I thought it was the 5th, to be honest with you. But that's just me, right? Going crazy. On YouTube. Yep, there it is. See that? Can you all hear the music? I said it was the 6th. I thought it was the 5th. Alright. One of these days, I'm gonna just have everything perfect, have a engineer in the engineering seat, and not have to take care of all this stuff. But then I'll be bored, and I love being able to do this. So, alright, let's turn that off. Alright, so I made a few tweaks to the setup. We talked about this last week. You going crazy? So what's different than normal? Yeah, I've gone to Crazy Town back and got the T-shirt, right? One of those days and weeks. Jeff says music is good, so I can assume that that's fine. If it's too loud, let me know, and I will turn it down. I've got independent control of the music. So we made some tweaks in the guides of doing some new things with the upgrades and talking about some new stuff going on. We obviously have added a few things, made some changes to the layout. Number one is we've separated our microphone. So no longer is my microphone going through my Mixcast 4 from Tascam. It is going straight into the A10 Mini Extreme. And I can control the Jeff, you forgot to text me and tell me to hit record. Oh, man, I tell you. The simple things. That's next week's remind. So where am I remoting in? We'd have to sit through that and see how that would work. But, you know, it is what it is. Obviously, I would love it if someone could have that job and make that be simple as, you know, just a simple task. Yeah. John, hit record. Thanks for the heads up, Jeff. It is recording. It is recording. I really haven't done anything important, so, you know, not missing anything. Don't forget, we do have the promo still going on with the Osbot Tail Air. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we just wrapped up a install of the Osbot Tail Air. And I have to say, there are some issues with the Tail Air that I am going to be reaching out to the Osbot team regarding their AI auto tracking. The headroom that they have on the tracking, the auto tracking, is way too much. On the wider shots, I mean, you've literally got tons. I mean, my head is, even this is a tad bit too much for the headroom on my camera. I could bring it down a little bit, but, you know, obviously we want a little bit of room so that when I sit up or I move around, I'm not, you know, getting bumped off, and I'm not clipping the head. But the Osbot, it almost like the face is at 50%, the eyes are at 50% of the screen, where normal, and this is from a broadcast standard, the eyes should be around 75%. So I'm going to send them that request, see if they can update that via firmware update, and then we can update that just remote to the camera, so that we don't have to purchase any new hardware, because obviously that would be a bummer if we just installed it and then they push out an update. And the only way to get that update is by buying a new camera. We don't want that. So hopefully Osbot will hear me and we'll get that done. But overall, the camera performs top notch. Every once in a while we'll get a little confused if there's multiple people up on stage. Sometimes it's not always 100% sure who to grab, but for the most part it definitely does work. And out of the two Osbot Tail Airs that I've had in my possession, one has been installed, and the second one is still in my possession, waiting to be installed. That is, I've had to update the firmware on the Osbot from the very beginning. The Tail Air, I'm not sure if they released it with the Tiny software, because Osbot has the Tiny 2, and then the Tail Air. All top-notch cameras, all very good at what they do, but the Tail Air has features and controls that the Tiny and the Tiny 2 do not have. And with that requires a firmware update that was not applied before shipping. Whether that was a foresight or they just produced a whole bunch of cameras, gone out, and then they worked on some tweaks based on what the beta testers were doing, which is more likely the case, because that's what most developers will do, is within the release of a camera, hardware, or software, whatever, they will push it out first to the beta testers after they've done the alpha testing. And then the first rollouts, they're still tweaking some of the bugs that maybe the beta testers have been commenting on. So hopefully they can get this rolled out and get that correction on the headspace on the auto tracking, because the one client I installed yesterday, that was their number one complaint, was the headroom on the auto tracking was way too much. So I have not, in all fairness, I have not even talked with Ausbot about it, so I can't fault them about this yet. So I'll send them an email. I just did the install, finished the install last night. So based on the fact that the Ausbot tail air has an ultra wide lens and it's 4K, but it only has 4 times zoom, you have to move that camera a lot closer than you do a normal camera. So where the original placement was way too far from the stage, because they wanted a nice tight shot, clean, tight shot of the teacher, because it's going into a teaching session of the church. They wanted a nice tight shot. So even zoomed all the way in at the position where the previous camera was, that was even almost like a waist, I think it was more like a waist shot. And then, so what we ended up doing was, instead of moving the mount that they had, which was this humongous mount, we went and got a short, extendable tripod. Now, Ausbot does sell the expandable tripod that you can mount, and then we bought a little scissor clip because they have a drop-down ceiling. So what we ended up doing was getting a scissor clip, putting it on the grid, and using the telescoping expandable tripod to get it down to roughly about eyesight, and then the camera is flipped over. Now the Ausbot tail air with all the technology into it, when you invert the camera upside down, it automatically makes the image upside right. However, one setting that you have to go digging for is the flip mirror setting, because even though the image will rotate up and be upright, it's almost like a selfie camera on your cell phone. You know, everything is reversed. One thing that really drives me crazy is when people do these TikToks, these Instagram posts and stuff, and they're using their cell phone, they don't go in and flip the image. So any words on the screen, whether it's on their shirts or on the backgrounds, everything is reversed and everything's backwards. And that really bothers me. Because I work in broadcast, everything needs to be straightforward. Now, obviously that's not the first thing I look for, so I actually didn't catch it when we were installing it. It was the engineer at the church who was going to be running the camera goes, "Hey John, the image is flipped." And it literally took me a few minutes, and this is something else I need to talk to Ausbot about, is the flip image is in the app on the cell phone, on the mobile device. I could not find it in the PC, actually it was a Mac version of their control center. So I don't know if it's there. I went looking for it, didn't find it, and then I went to the app on my phone and I found it there and was able to flip it. So far so good. When you power down the camera, and we didn't actually disconnect the power and let it drain completely, but so far so good. It retains all its settings. So hopefully, one problem that the church had with their previous camera was every time you turn the camera off and it loses power, it would reset all of its settings. So you had to climb up and reset the camera, with whether it be autofocus, manual exposure, all that. So far, the Ausbot tail air has retained the settings that you had when you turned it off. So that is a big plus. Overall, I am extremely pleased with the Ausbot tail air. you may be sitting there going, overall, I'd have to say yes on the Osbot Tail Air. Who is it for? I agree with their advertising. It is great for teaching environments. It is great for the even church congregations that are looking for a follow camera. The nice thing about the Osbot Tail Air is the fact that you get a camera that will follow you. And for the churches that don't have volunteers to run camera, who don't have the skills to get into having, or even the finances to pay a professional camera person to follow them, well, this camera will do it. And at the price point, it's something that a lot of places can get into, because most PTZs, whether that be from Canon, Panasonic, PTZ Optics, Bird Dog, you're talking for what you get with the Osbot Tail Air, you're costing you $2,000 to $5,000 per camera. And the Osbot Tail Air comes in at $499. Now, if you use the promo code JA Memories, you'll get 5% off. So I honestly think if you're in the market for the Osbot Tail Air, or you're looking for whether it be to upgrade your web camera for your Zooms, so that when you're doing presentations from home, you can guarantee that you'll always stay in focus, you'll always stay in frame. The Tail Air is for you. Or maybe you're like me and you have a content creation. You create content, but you're not sitting in a seat like I am. You know, you're a little bit more animated. You like to move around. You know, you scoot over to here to this camera, and then you move over here to this desk over here. You know, and you're moving like this and left and right and all this other stuff. The Tail Air will keep you in focus. I was watching a live stream this weekend, and the guy who was doing the live stream has two different setups. So, and he's switching between the two different setups, which coming soon, we will have that here at J Memories. But, you know, so when you move from one station to the other, you know, do you have a stationary camera so you walk out of frame and then all of a sudden you punch up and you're back on the other camera? You know, the Osbot Tail Air eliminates that, because you can walk and the Osbot Tail Air will retain you in focus. So that's something that you want to maintain, is you want to stay in focus. One rule that we learned in TV is you never turn your back to the camera. And you do everything you can to maintain eye contact with the people that you're watching and you're talking to and what you're doing. Zoom calls are perfect, which gets into my next upgrade, which we did mention in the previous show, is I added a teleprompter to my rig. I'm actually using a teleprompter right now, where I've got up on my screen, I've got the two live streams, Facebook and YouTube. I've got a clock that tells me what time it is, and I've got the chat. Now, I can't read the chat from the screen. It just tells me, hey, you've got chat coming in. But it allows me to know that, yes, the chat's working. Yes, people can see me. I've got the dashboards for Facebook, YouTube up on the screen, and it gives me a clock so I could, one, stay on time for when I'm live, and two, it tells me how long roughly I've been going. Now, these are tools that not every streamer needs, not every streamer is required to do. But if you're wanting to up-level your game. If you're wanting to improve the quality of your streams, these are kind of things that you need to look into. The teleprompter also helps me when I'm reading scripts. I've been recording the Tail Airs review, as well as doing some reviews on some other products that I've gotten over the last few weeks. I've been working on the scripts, and I've been able to stay focused on the script and maintain eye contact with the camera simply by just staying focused on the screen, the teleprompter that's in front of me. Now, there are tons of teleprompters out there. I will link in the description afterwards the setup that I got. It's a combination of a teleprompter setup with a HDMI, very, very small HDMI monitor that I think the whole rig cost me about 75 to 85 bucks. Elgato makes a great setup. It actually is it's basically, I made a cheap version of Elgato's prompter. But I would stand behind getting a prompter, but that also costs somewhere upwards of $200. So you have to gauge where you are, what you're looking for, and also the quality of what you're looking to get. So, and it all comes down to finances. As my boss at the office always says, it's just money. So, and then of course, we have Jeff, who pops up random comments and says things like, teleprompter helps with when there are snarky comments like this. Yes, Jeff. Like I said, I can't read the comment on the prompter, but I can see that you left a comment. And knowing Jeff, it doesn't surprise me that it's a snarky comment. But we love him anyway, hence why he's a mod on the channel. Jeff, I think, has been with us since day one last year when we started the channel. But it's one of the things I love about live streams is, and I get asked this a lot, why do we go live? What's the benefit of going live compared to, say doing a post, recording a video and then posting it later? Well, one thing that I love about live is when you're done, you're done. You can go back and post and tweak it, cut it, and trim it up a little bit. But when you're live and you're done after the live, you're done. You make a mistake, like I said, you can go back and fix that mistake in post, but the mistake is live. It also gives me a little bit more excitement. It allows me to test a few things, and it allows for expansion. One thing that we're looking at doing in the next few weeks is I run OBS. OBS, if you saw the beginning of the show, and you saw the logo, so this logo right here that you're seeing right now, that is being pushed by OBS. And OBS so that is OBS. The logo is being pushed by that. Well, one thing I want to do is I want to make some scene. I don't want to. OBS by itself will do live streams. They will go ahead and create a live stream for you. You can push it out if you have the right computer, the right IOs. It will allow you to live stream with OBS. And OBS stands for Open Broadcast Software. Open Broadcaster Software. It's basically a switcher in a box, and it runs on your computer. It is a free software, and there's so much you can do with it. Well, I'm not looking to actually do a live stream from OBS, but I would like to be able to push content from OBS, and whether that's video playback or overlays, or just one thing that I would love to do, that I'm working on trying to figure out how to do this without actually having the camera on OBS, is OBS, they have a blur filter that you can blur. And I've seen some of the live streamers who, when they start their show, they will have a camera up in the grid or somewhere off camera, off axis, shining down at them, and they'll blur the image so you can see it. You can kind of see that they're working in the studio, that they're sitting there, but then at the same time, it's not so clear that you know exactly what they're working on. That's the kind of thing I would like to do. Another thing that I would love to do is OBS has a filter in there that will allow you to animate certain things, whether it be a waveform, circles, and it's based on who's talking. So using OBS, being able to do those things and get that production level of stuff, but bring it in as a secondary source. Like I said, I don't want to push the cameras because I don't have enough I/O on my computer that is running OBS, and I really don't want to spend the money right now for maybe a Decklink Duo or a fiber card or a USB-C capture device that then relies on the hardware to do that. Hence why I have A10 Mini Extremes, A10 Mini Pros, that is pushing all of my live content. I like having independent devices serving up a purpose. Even though the A10 Mini Pro, A10 Mini Extreme, they can do a lot. They can do the live stream, they can do the audio mixing, they can do the graphics, they can do a lot. I like having backup systems. I like having extra things in place to do that. One thing that I have in my studio, which we need to do, I need to work on, and I might get my wife to help me with this. I need to do a walkthrough of my studio. I think I'm gonna wait till we get everything rearranged, but I'm gonna do a walkthrough of what I'm doing, how I'm doing my graphics, how I'm doing my lower thirds, how I'm doing the audio processing, what devices I'm using. You can see a list of some of the gear I use in the studio down below, but having that walkthrough, and I think that will be a video I post online instead of going live with that. So, all right, let's see what's going on in chat. I see Jeff left a comment. Think you told me before you created Jane Memories, so yeah, since the beginning. I'm not sure if, no, I don't think I told you before. I think we were live with some other stuff before J Memories, but J Memories actually came out of a conversation with my siblings on one of our Sunday night calls. I was doing what I'm doing now, except I was just doing it under my own name. And the question, and as I was doing installs, my brother asked me the question of how am I protected if anything would happen. And the answer was I wasn't. So, you know, we looked into J Memories, we looked at an LLC, and that's how J Memories LLC came about. J Memories, my wife and I were talking. I've done photos by John, I've done audio, In fact, I think I recorded some stuff with Jeff. There is no thinking about it. I know I recorded some stuff with Jeff. I've done some audio recordings with other people. I did photo. So JA Memories came out of a conversation I had with Andrea based on taking everything that I do. And I'm a multifaceted person. I'm some would say a jack of all trades. And one of the things that I've did is I've taken everything that I know how to do and put it under one umbrella. So if I'm doing photo editing, if I'm doing audio engineering, if I'm doing audio mixing, video work, graphic design, whatever it is, it's all under the umbrella of JA Memories. And now we just have the company JA Memories LLC. So we are a limited liability company. I do have the certification to do reselling here in Oklahoma, which also gives me the benefit of working with churches, because there is no, churches don't get charged tax. So assuming that the church I'm working with is a non-profit organization, I'm not charged tax, where then I have to then charge the church a little bit more for the product. So it helps both ways. I'm able to get a little bit deeper discounts that I then can pass down to my clients. And even if a client is taxable, I can get it taxed, and then the client would pay the appropriate tax, so that everybody stays above board when it comes to the legal status of where taxes are being paid and stuff like that. So there is some office politics that need to go on with that, and that's with any business, but it's one of those things. So yeah, of course, one of the most beneficial parts of what I do is the fact that I'm in my own home. I love the fact that I can just come home, sit down, make sure everything's turned on, and then go live. I technically can go live anytime I want. I can record anytime I want, but I don't go live all the time because, one, I don't have a lot of talent, not a lot of talent. I don't have a lot of content to necessarily discuss, so I don't want to just ramble on, which sometimes I do, but other than that. Now, one thing that came up today, and you may or may not have seen this come recently, was that Facebook is changing a lot of their stuff. My wife noticed this a while back with her Facebook page parties, which let me plug Andrea because she works hard. If you know anyone or know yourself who buys children's books, anything from toddler all the way to young youth, middle school, you need to reach out to Andrea. You can reach out to me, but I'm going to get in touch with you with Andrea because she works for a company called Paper Pie. And they sell books, youth all the way through, actually toddler all the way through youth. They do have some baby books that parents can read to their kids, but they have everything from that. And now they have even games and toys and all kinds of things. But she's always looking for people to host parties. So here's a little shameless plug for Andrea's Paper Pie Company. And I'll see if I can get a link to that and put it in the description. But yeah, just reach out, and the nice thing is she does the whole party. So when we say, you host the party, yes, you're hosting because hopefully they're your friends. She does it on Facebook, so we're reaching out to your friends, but she does all the work. So it's not like you have to be knowledgeable about everything. She will be there, and she does a very good job. So feel free to reach out, and we will get in touch and figure out when's a good time to do a party. And it's all online, so it's all pushed out there. Definitely reach out to John and Andrea about books. Andrea is fantastic. I need to take off the I'm cutting off some of the Andrea is fantastic. Yes, she is. I will agree to that. I will agree to the fact that Andrea is definitely fantastic. All right. So the reason that came up was because Facebook changes all the time. YouTube does too, but it seems like Facebook is changing a lot more. One of the latest things that has been going on is Facebook Messenger is changing their and it's, I don't know if it's going to filter through all of their platform, the whole Meta universe, I guess you'd say. But what's happening is they are getting it's an end-to-end encryption protocol that they're putting in place. I already have two-factor authenticity turned on all my accounts, but they are wanting to up the level of security, so they are putting things in place that is impacting users. So as long as Facebook allows us to stay online, we will continue to live stream to Facebook, but somewhere down the road that might change. So just be mindful of the fact that Facebook is changing. Messenger seems to be the target right now, but who knows where Mark Zuckerberg and the entire Facebook community goes with all of their changes. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to change. I love change when it's warranted and when it's helpful. I just get the impression, and I've had some dealings with it today, I get the impression that it's more harmful. Excuse me. Sorry. So that is that's where I was going with bringing up Andrea's Facebook parties, is the fact that Facebook is changing and they're adding more security, which may or may not affect our viewership, as well as our ability to go live, as well as communicating outside. Now, a couple things to talk about. Another upgrade that we did was, what did you just say? You have a wonderful wife. I also agree with that 100%. Yes. So I've talked about John Barker and Jay. John Barker and Here to Record. John Barker is a programmer out of somewhere in Europe. Not 100% sure where he's at, but I know he's out of Europe somewhere. And he has several products and apps. Go to heretorecord.com and check out all of the apps. They're all different apps for content creation, live productions. He's got stuff for the A10 Mini Pros line. He's got stuff for graphics, for social, and I love his products. I'm actually using several of his products. I've actually purchased a couple of his products, as well as using some of his free software. So go check him out. I'll leave a link in the description for Here to Record, as well as some of my favorite apps there. But one app that I use a lot that you can see, so the ticker down here, right there, that ticker is done by different graphic program. But this one right here, that is done by H2R Graphics. H2R Graphics is John Barker's graphic program. It runs off of a user interface that you can download to your computer. I believe he has it for Linux, Windows, and Mac. I obviously use it on my PC, but I believe he has it for Mac and Linux. I'll have to double check. But a couple things that we also have use of. Obviously, we've talked about this before, and that is the map. So if you leave a comment in the chat with where you're from, right now it will ping your location. Obviously, I'm limited to the United States on the map, since most of my viewers, if not all my viewers, are in the United States. But if you leave a comment in the chat that you are in, if I can leave a comment in there. Well, it's got pinged Oklahoma, because I'm from Oklahoma. Yeah. So that is there. Also, all of the chat overlays, that is being pushed out from H2R Graphics. Now there is some adaptation that you have to do to get there, but like just said, leave a comment in the chat. Come on. But that's all of the chats are being brought into H2R Graphics, and I'm able to push it out to my thing. Now, if you noticed, I've been looking down when I'm grabbing the chat. So one thing that H2R Graphics allows you to do that I really love is the fact that you have a web portal to be able to grab any part of the live of H2R Graphics. So I have the chat brought up on my little tablet here. Now this is a tablet I've had for several years. It technically is a US cellular device, but I don't have US cellular anymore. I don't have cellular data on here. It's just connected to my Wi-Fi, and I'm able to bring in the chat simply by clicking on the chat. And you see that being brought in. And that makes things a lot easier to do your comments. You can load up the entire rundown on here. You can load whatever you want to so that it's at your fingertips. Now you also can do this via the Stream Deck, but having the chat in front of me on a tablet that I can grab wherever I'm at allows me, one, to see that the fact that there's, a comment to be talked about, and then I can grab it and do that. So, like I said, check out John Barker's website, Here to Record. Check out the apps. Some of the apps you do have to pay. He usually has a free, smaller, less powerful version of the apps that you can use for free or a limited time on those. I actually did reach out to John Barker and asked him if he is planning on doing any bundles, and the answer to that is no at this time, and that's simply because he's working with a lot of different developers and different payment forms, so it's not in the works right now. But I definitely, I'm looking at a couple of his apps. I'm actually programming right now the dashboard thing to kind of give myself a layout for the studio so that I can see both live streams, I can see the clock, I can see comments being brought in up on a screen that's right in front of my face, so that I know, okay, this is what's going on, this is where we are. So like I said, check out John Barker's Here to Record. If you can't find it, just Google it and you'll find him. He's done a lot of work with the Bit Focus Companion. He's done a lot of work on developing super source layouts for the ATEM, not just the ATEM minis, but just the ATEM switchers that use super source. Last I saw, I have not actually checked this out yet, that I'm looking to do is he actually has a section for the super source to animate the super source. Something I'm looking forward to doing that with. So yeah, and this is one thing I love about the streaming community. A lot of people are working not just to keep everything to themselves. The community is all about branching out. And in a society where everybody's vying for your attention, where everybody's trying to be the next viral video, when you have a community of content creators who want to help each other out, and that's what we are doing. We are trying to build up each other so that we all get better at what we do. Because there is so much to be said. Everybody has a message that they want to share. And one of the reasons that we started JA Memories was because we wanted to make sure that people had the tools, the techniques, and the skills to take their message that they want to share with the world and do it to the best of their abilities. Sure, anyone can grab a cell phone and just flip it on, push live to Facebook, and you're now a content creator on Facebook. But is that the end of it? There's so much that we can do by using tools and hardware, whether it be software, whether it be straight hardware, or a combination thereof. And that's what JA Memory strives to do, is to provide tools and techniques and abilities so that other people can do what we do. They're not going to share the same thing that we're sharing, but they're going to share their message. Some may go, we don't want to do it live, we want to do everything in-house and just then produce it for content later, which is great. People love that. They love being able to watch at their leisure. A live broadcast obviously hones in on a specific time. Sure, the VOD is there afterwards. You can always go back and watch it. And by the way, if you're watching on the replay, make sure you leave a comment, #replay, so that we know you're watching. But creating content after the fact allows people to interact in a different way. And that's what we want to do. We want to provide tools that give people the tools to do what they want to do. We're not a cookie cutter company gonna be pushing everything the same and giving everybody the same exact setup because we want to sell, say, all Black Magic equipment, or we want to sell all of OBSBot's equipment. If that works for your setup, if that's what you want, then by all means we will be happy to help you and we'll be happy to get you the best price possible. But not everybody's on the same level. Not everybody has the same desires. Not everybody has the same purpose of creating the same amount of content. And for that matter, not everybody has the same amount of space. So depending on the space will also determine on what equipment you get, what tools you use, what's your budget, what's your skill level. They all come into play when deciding on live content, on streaming setups. So, we've talked about a lot of things today. And this is the kind of show that I love, is being able to encourage people to take the next step. Because maybe you're sitting on a bunch of equipment that you don't even know what to do with. The nice thing about that is you can then reach out and go, hey, this is what I have, and I'll be happy to, perfect example, how I got involved with the OBSBot Tail Air. I got called by a church going, hey, I want help getting online and setting up a live stream. We purchased an OBSBot Tail Air. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have heard of the OBSBot camera, but I've never heard of the Tail Air. I said, okay, great. I'll look into the camera and see what I can figure out, and we'll meet up and we'll see if we can get you live streaming. I hung up the phone and immediately went to the website, watched all the promotional videos, got my hands on as much information as possible, watched as many videos as I could, and being a new product, there wasn't as much as, say, now with the example of the A10 minis. There are tons and tons of videos on how to use the A10 mini line of switchers, whether that be the A10 Mini Pro, the A10 Mini Extreme, the A10 Mini SDI, so on and so forth. But the Tail Air is not the same. So I had to do a little bit of work, and I walked into the church not 100% sure how we were going to make all of this work. And I was up front with the client, and the client was fine. And we tried a few things, and my biggest concern was the bandwidth, which proved to be the biggest hurdle. So we sat down and we discussed options, and we ended up with the idea, instead of trying to live stream from the OBSBot camera, which by the way it can do, and I will be live streaming sometime soon from the OBSBot Tail Air camera. But the point being is, we sat down, we laid out what they wanted, and I went back, looked at the numbers, looked at the systems, and then proposed a different layout, a different setup, so that they could get what they needed and what they wanted. And that's what's coming up next. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, they work out their issues at the church, and then we can come in with the system and get everything live streamed, and they'll be pushing to YouTube. Up front, I think YouTube is going to be their platform of choice for the moment. Now, all that to say, it's 5 minutes to 9. We've got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, so I will do my best to be here next week, but I may end up having to cancel next week because we are making some upgrades to our studio at the office. I don't think it's next week. Of course, we have my wife has a birthday coming up soon, so I'm gonna be doing that. So plus we are still planning on doing upgrades to our studio. Don't think I've forgotten about that, but I've gotta do it smartly. I've gotta do it in a fashion that's not gonna hinder the live streams. So I've got to do it in a way that, one, I've got time between my live streams, and two, I've got it so that when I'm done, I'm not sitting here in a bunch of mess and I never get back to it. So I've got to make sure that I've got everything worked out. Plus, there's a few pieces of equipment I have to buy before I can do it that I just don't have the funds for yet. So we're gonna hold off on doing anything like that for the time being. And this works. I am able to do this. I just can't do the workbench that I want live. I can do it post, because obviously I can tape stuff and then cut around it and do B-roll to add in after in post. So obviously that will affect. Ultimately, I would like to be able to get up from this seat and go over to the workbench and show you guys stuff, and then come back and finish the show. That's ultimately what I want. So, all right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. If you have any comments left, and leave them in the chat. Don't forget, if this is your first time visiting, if you just happen to catch the videos, feel free to leave a comment in the description, and then also make sure that if you have not done so yet, hit that like button on the videos, whether on Facebook or YouTube. Also, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We go live twice a week. The goal is to, within the next couple of weeks, start publishing videos. So you'll be notified when those go live as well. And then also, leave any comments. Maybe there's something that you want me to cover. By all means, let me know. And I'll go from there. All right. I think we're gonna call it a night. Any last comments in the chat? I don't see anything. All right. Well, it is now 8:58, 54, 55, 56, 57. I think my clock's just a tad. No, it's spot on. It's spot on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is John McLauchlan with J and Memory. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If this is your first time, like I said, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week right here on J and Memory's Tech Talk. I did absolutely nothing. You were supposed to take the screenshot, and I'm still here. Don't you love when things don't go well? Let's try this. Talk to you later.